It's all bots, Dave.
I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure our shorts are bots because like we get something like 25 to 30 views a podcast. We hit like 1,200 on one of our shorts. So
It's
like,
all bots.
yeah,
When do we start getting checks? How does that work? Do we have to like hit a certain number of views?
I think
When
it's
can
an
I quit my
absurd
job,
amount.
Dave?
Like I think you have to have like 10,000 hours like monthly listen to it. It's a pretty high amount or like 1,000 subs or something. So
Oh, so it's a
don't worry.
time-based thing.
Yeah,
So
it's
we
like
can't just make like one high quality YouTube short every month, is what you're telling me. We have to post more frequently.
it's pretty stringent. Um, so don't quit your day job, Luke, because it'll be a minute, I think.
Sigh, sigh.
I was thinking though, I was like, I think the big tipping point for podcasts is like the point where you're just big enough for people to view it as exposure. So like,
Mhm.
I mean, not to say just big enough as if like Chris Williamson isn't a big because he straight up is a big podcast. But like when you
Mhm.
get to the point where you're able to just reach out to someone and be like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? Like you can promote something, you can talk about your
Yeah,
views. Like
yeah.
at that point, it's just a cycle. It's a perpetuating
The
cycle.
tipping point is when you can start having guests on that just aren't your friends.
Yeah, when you're not just texting someone being
They
like, "Hey,
want to
like
do it.
we're getting really stale. We need someone to talk about girl stuff."
Hey, we David and I are in the same echo chamber. We need somebody else that's not in our echo chamber to get us out of our current talking points.
The problem is though, I think the vast majority of people like because I do think we have like a good handful now, like maybe 5 to 10 like actual repeat listeners. The problem is I think the vast majority are going to be very similar to our views. Um,
Yeah, because they're typically just our friends.
yeah, so and if you don't agree with us, you probably don't want to hear us poorly portray our views that you don't agree with. Like it's probably a better use of your time elsewhere.
No, my girlfriend was talking about that the other day, where she's been trying really hard to listen to our podcast, but she's just like, "You guys are just insufferable sometimes." I'm just like, "Yeah, I know. That's the point."
Like attitude or presentation or like uh,
I think a lot of it is just we don't really like do a great job of like labeling what we're talking about at any given point. We just kind of like let the conversation flow, which is what honestly I enjoy about just having a conversation with you. But it's really hard for people to follow along.
I think it's like different strokes for like what kind of content you typically consume, right? Because like me and you have
Mhm.
always consumed podcasts more, right? So like were more on the early like Rogan train. I got on for a little bit
Oh,
and then
shout out Joe. I was like, yeah, 2016, I think is when I started listening to him like hard. And then like through like 2018, and then I started to like fall off because just like any podcast or any sort of like popular person, they kind of run out of like things to say after like 20 episodes, or you like know their entire basis of their personality and you can essentially just predict what that person's going to be saying. It's a very strange phenomenon when you have like this or what is it?
the
Uh
parasocial or the
Parasocial
yeah.
relationship, yeah. It's very weird. It's like I almost know this person, but I don't really know them. I'm just getting their opinions on the internet from long form content.
I mean that kind of becomes the problem with like any interviewer or any like two-person style, right? Like I think especially with like guests, right? Like for example, Chris Williamson. And don't get me wrong, I like his stuff that I've seen. I watched his Alex O'Connor, his Mike Israel, his Sam Sulek just dropped this week. I just listened
Mhm.
to that today. Um, but like this is not even saying I know his views like I knew Joe Rogan's when I used to listen to that. But like
Mhm.
it's like you said, at a certain point, all you're getting is the guest, right? Because you already know everything the interviewer's saying. So why not just at that point you should just go listen to the guests' stances on
Mhm.
things or the guests' done. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that going back to the formatting, I think me and you are more used to like freeform stuff because like I think Rogan maybe does timestamps, but like for example, like Ear Biscuits I listen to, they don't do timestamps. They have like very
Yeah.
free flowing conversation.
Yeah.
I think Chris Williamson may be the same way. I just listen to
He
Spotify.
does he generally does like timestamps on his YouTube videos. But she's coming from like, so we have a history of like long form content that's always just kind of like sporadic and just like whatever the person's thinking is said, and then that becomes the next point of conversation, where a lot of her podcasts that she listens to are like history podcasts, where it's like a step by step, like they all follow like a logical pathway, and then or they're like murder mysteries, or they're things of that nature, where there's like generally like a story element behind it. We don't have like a great intro and climax and then conclusion to any of our podcasts. It's kind of like we're kind of just plateauing the entire time, and then we have like one or two spikes, and then we typically like have a bang at the end, and then we stop.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like you
We're
said,
we're we're
it's just
we're
different
meta
preferences.
we are we're meta podcasting right now.
Yeah, I'm sure this is really interesting for everyone
This is
listening.
so
I'm sure
interesting.
this is what you clicked
People are
on.
having the times of their lives right now listening to this conversation.
We we really did our post podcast chat for during the podcast.
Yeah, our podcasts have been going really well. Hmm.
Yeah, I was just stroking ourselves off, basically, just talking about.
It's like, yeah, we've got 10 concurrent listeners now. Ooh. Dave, we might be the next Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan also started off tiny and small.
At some point, he had as many listeners as we did. Actually, I feel like that's untrue. I feel like
I
he probably
I
jumped
feel like
straight past us.
he probably immediately had at least 50 to 100 viewers on his first couple podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probably an undershoot, right? Because like he had so much
Yeah.
previous like UFC and Fear Factor and all, like he was so
Yeah.
established as a personality already that like I think I mean, because you get that from like YouTubers or whatever, right? Or like any celebrity, they'll put out like a new channel or a new content, and by the time you click on it, like they announce it, they've already got like 1,000, 10,000 subscribers based like however size, whatever size they are. So
Hmm. I tried to find the I tried to find the answer to how many episodes did his first podcast have. There's no record of it. Great. Well,
he's
if
like us.
there's
He's ashamed of
if
his first
well
podcast.
if there's no record of it, that means there's zero. And we
That
had
means
more
we're
than one
winning.
viewer on it. We're ahead of him. No. Gosh, how's your week been, Dave? How's it been going? How is falling into reverse?
Good. So Fallen Universe, I think we talked about the last time, but that was like the best concert, like you said, for you, Zach Bryan, I'd been to.
Hmm.
I did go to 3 Days Grace and Breaking
Oh,
Benjamin.
that's what it was. That's what it was.
That one
Okay.
was a little different experience. So I went with some friends, and 3 Days Grace was great. As I was listening to them, I was like, oh, actually, I know way more of their music than I expected. Like first like 6 songs I knew.
Hmm.
Um, then Breaking Benjamin came on, and what a disappointment. Breaking
Oh,
Benjamin was
really?
they so their sound engineer sounded like he just started the job, right? Like all you could hear was vocals and drums. Not like when they did their guitar solo, you couldn't hear it.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
they like Ronnie Radke had pyro, like flashing lights, a bunch of you know dancing and stuff on stage, very energetic. Breaking Benjamin was four dudes with a single podium, just like barely singing. I think the problem is that we identified is that they've just been so big for so long that they just don't really care.
Yeah.
Like people will still buy their tickets regardless because it's Breaking Benjamin, but like they have a much more wide audience than Falling in Reverse, so they can basically always garner an audience.
Hmm.
Um, and I think their audience is more. I hate using this term unironically, but normie, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not super into their music. They're just kind of there to be at a concert and oh, I recognize this artist.
Yeah.
So we actually left like 4 songs in. I
Oh,
never,
really?
but like I basically like we were discussing and we're like, yeah, like 3 Days Grace should have been the headliner. Breaking Benjamin should have opened for 3 Days Grace because they were atrocious.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a letdown. But 3 Days Grace was great. That was what I've been doing, writing more law school applications. And
Woo.
that's about it for me. What's been going on in your world?
Nothing groundbreaking or new. Just we had like a really hectic week at work, so I was just trying to like keep my head above water. Uh and then when I came home, I would just kind of chill and do nothing. Hang out with friends and family. So I think I saw the new Demon Slayer movie.
Oh, I did see that.
You
uh
did see that?
Friday or Saturday. I did watch that. What'd you
Okay.
think?
I they it's just very interesting that they legit give the best animation um to an anime that had one of the worst manga stories that I've read in like modern times. It like the animation is so good that it's convincing me that the story is actually good.
Yeah, I think me and you feel the same way about it, like, because we've seen enough shows, I mean, anime or not, that like we
Mhm.
have a very good baseline for. We don't really get sucked in by the pageantry as much. Like
Yeah.
we kind of realize the showmanship doesn't really
Mhm.
mean much behind the writing. And yeah, like as I was watching the movie, I guess spoilers for the next 30 seconds because that's all I'll talk about is
Mhm.
but like when he was like, oh, like the transparent world, I'm like, okay, you're just making it like here's why like I think so the transparent world arc, right? Like that little whole thing,
Mhm.
they just
Mhm.
pull it out of their ass. And
Mhm.
my issue with things like that like Demon Slayer does a lot of, they'll just Deus Ex Machina, a lot of stuff like that, and just be like, oh, by the way, there's this whole thing we didn't talk about it, but it's playing a pivotal role.
Yeah.
Versus like JJK, I'm not saying it's like a top three of all time, but like JJK, I think is much better written in general, like cohesiveness wise. And
Mhm.
I was talking to my buddy Derek that we were at the movie with, and like we were agreeing that like JJK, for example, has fleshed out its power system, it's fleshed out the world, and it'll
Mhm.
introduce some new power, but like it can very easily and cohesively explain like, hey, this is technique they're using, this is why it works, this is the explanation. Whereas Demon Slayer is very much just like no context, just pulling stuff out. And
Yeah, and they do this very fun thing, and it's one of the most lazy ways to write a story where they just give flashbacks. I hate flashbacks. I'm traumatized from flashbacks from I was a big Naruto fan, and that's all they did during like the final war arc is that like if they just they had to incorporate a filler scene because the animation wasn't quite ready for the new thing or the story wasn't caught up yet, they would just do flashbacks to a character that you didn't really care about, but now we have this like flashback arc that's going to last like 2 or 3 episodes. And that's what like a quarter to a third of the entire Demon Slayer movie was. It was flashbacks.
so, so I will say, in defense of it, I think the Akaza, like Akaza's like
Yeah.
backstory, basically the everyone who's seen it knows him. He was from the Mugen Train movie, and like
Mhm.
I really did like his backstory. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
well written. Like it was there was a lot of character built into it. But that's the problem is that they that one backstory had more character than the main characters than any other character they've ever given back. Like the
Yeah.
I mean I don't even think this is a hot take. Like Tanjiro is one of the most just milk toast boring MCs in all anime, right? Like there is so little nuance and
Yeah.
depth to his character versus like you got like a you got a Light or a Aaron Yeager or something, like someone with so much more depth and
Yeah.
3Dness to their character, and now you just got a guy who like, oh, like I do good things, I'm a good guy. That's his
Yeah.
entire character.
Yeah. I guess there's like a little bit of innocence behind it because he's just a young guy trying to do good in the world. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But it's been done a million times and it's been done better and it's been done more recently. So it's like I don't care. I watch it because it's pretty. It's very pretty looking.
Yeah, like it's. I tell people I'm like when I hate on it, or not even hate on it, when I critique it, it's not like I'm actively hating on it. I'm saying like it's a terrible piece of media, but like it's it's like a fun watch. It's something that like, hey, you want to put something on? Sure, we'll watch a few
Yeah.
episodes of Demon Slayer. Like it's not something where I'm like there are shows where if I'm watching with someone, I'm hey like pay attention to this. Like this scene,
Yeah.
watch this scene because it matters. There's no
Yeah.
scene in Demon Slayer where I'm like you're missing something, right?
Yeah. No. No.
Like AOT, JJK, I'm like, hey, they're leading into this. This comes in 3 seasons later, so remember it
Mm.
for 10 years down the road. But
Yeah.
like Demon Slayer, there's nothing you're ever going to be worried about missing. Like you could skip past 30 minutes of it and be pretty much on the same page as everyone else.
You could straight up skip episodes of canon storyline and just be like, okay, they're either one still fighting or two about to fight, or three like, okay, this is the fight scene, so pay attention if you care about how good it looks because like that's undeniable. It's some of the best animation that's currently being produced. I don't know if you watch the last anime episode of Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah.
With the big explosion.
Right. Yeah. 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 Like,
Yeah, that explosion that just like I'm like that fake explosion that was animated probably took months to do, um, and millions of dollars to complete, and it's just it's so real that I mean it's it's I don't know how to describe it. It just looks like a real explosion on the screen.
then they balance it out with like they have some of those the greatest animation. Then they have
Yeah,
like the worst CGI I've ever seen. Like Mugen
yeah.
Train, the the
This
scene,
movie,
yeah,
this movie had some,
this movie. Like every time I see the CGI, I'm like, ugh, like it just looks so bad. Like
and it's weird
movies,
too because it doesn't like stay for that long too. It's like it's for like filler shots, but it just stays long enough for your brain to be like, hey, that looks different, and then it goes away, and you're just like, why did you just finish that? That what?
yeah. I mean, I get like I'm very understanding of like animation being a very time consuming, expensive art, but like
Mhm.
I'd rather a little bit less time be spent on the fight scenes where like you're not going to notice the impact frames and like cover up the CGI, cover up the
Yeah.
because it seems like that's all Demon Slayer is. It's just very high highs and very low lows.
Mhm.
Whether it's story or animation. Um, but one point that I think you said you were fine with, but it's like one of my biggest critiques on the show is like you were saying the innocence of the character,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I think for example, I'll just contrast it to like Jujutsu Kaisen, another one of like basically same era shows, right? Because I've been making my roommate watch a bunch of like Free Ren, Demon Slayer, Death Note, stuff like that with me. We're going through Jujutsu Kaisen now, and I noticed that Itadori, like main character, is very much the same way, where he's like, oh, I don't want to kill anyone, like because that's fine, right? Like that's an anime thing. The main character doesn't like
Mhm.
killing because it's bad for them, but there's so much more of a struggle in that sense. There's so much more like internal turmoil. There's so much more like
Mhm.
just of his battle with that. You get to see his character development. Whereas like Tanjiro like is never challenged. He never has like a, a battle of his like with his character. I guess like you could say
Mhm.
maybe one time um like deciding between his sister and like like a few seasons ago. But I just think overall it's hard to communicate it to people who like don't really watch a ton of shows and like don't really have frame of reference. But I think most people who have seen a lot of them like realize like okay this is just fun slop almost in a
Mhm.
way,
Yeah,
rather
it's
than like
candy. It's
like
candy. It's not real food. It's candy. It's good in little bits and pieces. Don't have it be the only thing that you're consuming, or else you will rot your brain out. But it's good. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I didn't expect it to be 2.5 hours though. When we were walking in because my roommate hadn't had dinner, so we were like jumping right to
Yeah,
you'll be fine. Like hour and a half. It can't be longer than an hour and a half. No anime movie's ever gone
yeah,
beyond that. And then we looked at the runtime,
yeah.
it's 2.5 hours. I was like, all right, maybe you're gonna be a little hungry tonight. So
It's because there was an hour of flashbacks.
on the bright side though, the flashbacks were like I know you 'cause I never watched Naruto, so I know you have a little more
Yeah.
issue with it. I will say though, that at least the flashbacks were all new content though, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it is a different kind of exposition that I think you might have more of an issue with than me. But like at least it
Mhm.
wasn't like some shows, like a One Piece or something like that, where it's like it's just pulling content from the last episode and then just shoveling
Yeah.
in 5 minutes worth.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's even worse. I just don't like it because it's used. Spoiler alert for those of us that haven't read the manga. It doesn't stop. They keep coming. Every single big fight will now have a major flashback associated with it.
I mean, I get it, right? Like, I
And
do
and
like
and
that.
then and then you watched the one that was in the movie was the best one by far.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, it gets
Yeah.
worse from there. That's just
It
worse
it
from then
gets
on out.
worse. Yeah, yeah. This is peak flashback. That was
I
peak
heard
flashback.
I heard Upper One's flashback is going to be like its own movie with how because I haven't read it.
Gosh. Oh
That's what I was
gosh.
hearing. So look forward to
Okay.
movie 2 and 3. Also crazy that they announced this and it's going to be 3 years before this show is over. I'm going to be out of law school by the time that this series ends.
Something to look forward to. I mean, same way with like JJK. JJK is not going to be done until like 2028.
Yeah, but I am more excited for JJK. I think that's the thing. It's like I'm
Yeah,
willing to wait a year or two for a season of JJK. Like
yeah,
this candy, just let me consume it all at once. You know, just produce some
yeah.
slop. Let me get the story, whatever story there is, and then move on. But
Hmm. No, makes sense. Um, yeah. I mean, I guess we could. Do you want to talk about the news? You want to talk about the happenings of the world?
we might have. So I was thinking, when you were asking
We
about
we can
what
just
episode this is, I was
yeah,
thinking that like if we talk about these events, we might have to expedite this one and move it ahead of the last one we recorded. So this
or we
one,
can just or we can save our opinions. It could be
oh
something we could talk about like what's going on in the world.
yeah.
There's
So
a there's a
so
there's a cold there's a cold civil war happening right now.
you talking which one are you talking about? Venezuela?
You know what? Oh no, in the
Oh
United States.
oh yeah. Um, I guess we can bring it up. Yeah, like it can be.
Yeah.
We'll make the executive decision in 2 weeks which one of these we're rolling with, whether we're trying to
Okay.
cash in on topical value or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think mentioning it is gonna like flag us on content?
Hasn't flagged hasn't flagged anybody else.
Okay. Um,
Might just have to use super secret words like
like,
unalive.
well, like the name itself. You think we're good on that? I think
Yeah, we're
everyone
good.
knows what we're
Like
talking
there's
about. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So
We're just
yeah.
dancing around this now. Yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie Kirk. Um, as you know, I think everyone, right? Like this is probably the biggest news to come out in I I'd warrant maybe years, at
Hmm.
least in the past like year or two, right? I'd say this is probably the biggest
Hmm.
news to like hit. I mean,
Hmm.
I can say for a fact that no other news in my lifetime have six different people. It got to a kind of six different people contacted me out of nowhere, no context, asking if I'd heard the news. Like that's
Yeah. Within like 20 minutes of it happening too.
yeah. Um,
Um.
have you seen any of like
Yes.
the I guess the fallout from it? Because I haven't seen too much, right? Like I don't I still stay away from
Oh,
the news. I listened to the initial
are you on
article.
Are you on Twitter right now?
I'm not. I don't have Twitter.
Okay. Good. Okay. So I my statement at the beginning. Yeah, first off, just to inform, yeah, September 10th, Charlie Kirk was shot and unalived at a um, during a his debate series, his the first stop of his debate tour, where he's just going around to different college campuses, and this one was specifically at the university.
Like
Yeah,
Utah
no, it was
something.
Utah Valley,
Yeah.
Utah Valley University, UVU. Um, he was shot by a 22 or 23-year-old young adult. It was during a public event, so there was hundreds, if not 1,000 or so more people there. It was videotaped. It was recorded live. He was shot in the neck, and probably was he passed shortly after that, just based off of the positioning of the bullet itself and where it hit. Probably, um, I don't think it was carotid artery. Um,
It looked like carotid. I mean, like I
it,
think
it
my
didn't it didn't spew. It didn't spew like carotid artery. It spewed like oh, my anatomy brain's leaving me. What's the one that goes down?
jugular.
Um, Jugular. Yep, jugular. Because it kind of
I
just like
I know some
it.
anatomy.
There you go. Yeah, it just kind of it fell out. It didn't like shoot out. It wasn't projectile. Um, and probably hit a spinal cord. But that doesn't matter. It was a political assassination that was successful. Um, Charlie Kirk, famous conservative, um, political analyst and debater, um, which and all he did was go around to different college campuses and just like have discussions or debates about different ideas relatively peacefully, relatively without issue, and done in a manner that was like respectful to the people that were participating. And um, it's been just blowing up because there's been a couple different takes on this, whether that be just the response of his death, um, Obviously, when you see somebody get shot and assassinated, the first guttural human response is to um, kind of be in grief and kind of mourn and just be in shock, even if you didn't know the person, because that's a terrible thing to happen to anybody. Um, and that seems to be most of the response. But there is a heavy push from the opposite political platform that is like near praising and justifying what the shooter did. And maybe this is like my Twitter brain rot, but there's like some like actual semi-evil comments being spread on Twitter that are receiving hundreds of thousands of likes and just causing like more turmoil within the country because that's exactly what the country needed was more turmoil. Um,
Yeah, so
yeah.
from what I've seen, I'm a little bit on Reddit, so like unfortunately my only little bit on Reddit is not through news, it's like meme subreddits. Um,
Yeah.
so that's the kind of or like political compass memes, or like that whole subreddit. So like I have a little less exposure to the takes. You know,
Hmm.
I'm off Instagram these days, so I don't have to see the cesspool that's Instagram comments. Um, but yeah, I've seen generally the same thing. I think I've seen most people, and it could be also like it could also be. I think don't get me wrong. I think the natural response, and I think the overwhelming response, um, like truly, genuinely, is like
Hmm.
hey, like regardless of what they believe, someone just talking is not what this country is like. Assassinating someone for just talking is not what this country's built on, and not what we should
No.
support.
No.
Um, but I have seen, right, like, so I think most people believe that. I think that I have seen, right, obviously some people think the other way, um, and support it, for example. But like, it's, I don't know if, I'm sure some people do believe it, right? But I don't think those people are, the people who are talking about supporting it, that are not like actual normal people. I think either they're like actively trying to rile people up, like trying to like, poke and trying to
Yeah.
like rage bait, or
Yeah.
it's like people who aren't really in the right mind and thinking it through of like the consequences of this being set as precedent and being praised. Considering also
Yeah.
like I know this may be a contentious point of view, but generally I don't even think this is contentious. I think this is a fair thing to say that most people who have explored the political spectrum will agree with. He's still a moderate right. Um, for
And
for for his views,
yeah,
he's definitely more on the moderate side, like compared to the other commentators that are out there and the other
oh
names that talk about these things.
yeah, he's more moderate right, kind of I'm assuming more libertarian leaning because he wants the government out of things. Um, and I think what part of this and why there's like such a big uproar behind a lot of this is because he shares the same viewpoints as legitimately millions of Americans. Like you can probably go on a walk and meet 10 people that have the same exact or near exact viewpoints as him. And it's just weird to see somebody being assassinated for their viewpoints when you know a lot of people have very similar viewpoints. It's not like we're killing a um, evil mustache man or something like that who had like crazy beliefs that were fringe even at the time. This is somebody that has relatively quote unquote normal beliefs and had like a fundamental belief system that I believe he followed. And I think that's what makes this topic really hard. And like even my parents, the day that it happened, they're just like they're more on the right leaning side, and or at least I think they are. But they said it just doesn't make sense why they would go after him. Like it makes more like it would almost feel better and make more sense if it was after like a bigger figure like the president.
Or
Like it
like
wouldn't feel as bad.
or like a
The entire
politician or
situation just
someone.
feels bad. Yeah, if it was a politician that had a set of policies that didn't align with somebody, there would be like a reasoning for it. But this didn't seem to have a very clear reasoning to it. He
I
didn't
think
have any political power. It's been very strange, and maybe I've been on Twitter too much, but like my brain is actually rotting looking at some of these things. Like when I see like a post that I like find disgusting, I have to I'm then like in a bad mood and like have to shut off my phone.
I think one of the takes I hear from people that are not I guess outright in support, because like I said, I think those are crazy people, but people who are less, um, outright against the act.
Hmm.
And I fully think this take is wrong. I can get into it, but
Hmm.
like some people will be like, "Oh, he did have political power because he was convincing voters." I'm like, that's not like convincing voters is something that like that's what every single person tries to do, right? Like it's a
Yeah,
natural thing. It's free speech. It's the press. It's every media outlet. It's every teacher. It's everyone tries to convince
it's every single friend.
voters.
It's every single one of your friends. All of
Yeah,
our friends try to convince in some way or another, like this is who you should be voting for.
yeah, and I think like people are trying to compare it to. It's so different from like not to outright support any acts in general, but like it is
Hmm.
a different act from like for example Luigi Mangione or the Blackstone CEO or things like that, right? Like
Hmm.
they're because like those acts, or if it was like a politician or something, you'd be like, hey, they're enacting these policies that directly harm Americans. They're enacting these things. They partake in these direct actions by their hand, by their signature that you know some people might perceive as harming people directly.
Hmm.
The the level of disconnect between political commentator to speaking to people who disagree with them to a voter listening to that to go and to vote, like there are so many levels of disconnect between there that like you can't
Hmm.
possibly say like this is a direct um this is a direct like people say he did have political power, as much political power as any news anchor
How
does,
how
right?
many
Like
how many how
it,
many ho how many how many bills did he get signed into law?
yeah, like he had, I'd
None.
say he
0.
he had
None.
he had as much, if not significantly less, power than any news anchor or any CNN, ABC, Fox. Like those news anchors arguably reach more people and have way more actual influence over the political sphere and like voters, right?
Yeah,
So
and Charlie Kirk was really big with, like, the younger demographic. Ooh, you swayed the younger demographic who have no money and no power themselves. Like, the people that you wanna, like, get control over or, like, be on your side in political, um, positions is wealthier people with typically older, wealthier individuals that can provide you some support, not a bunch of college students that have $5 to their name.
yeah,
Like, the whole thing just didn't make sense, and because it didn't make sense, has spurred, like, tens of different, like, conspiracy theories behind, like, the reason and the why.
and I think the problem is a lot of the people who are supporting it, like I mean, n- no really way to sugarcoat it, are
Yeah,
literally on the far other side, and
yeah,
like I think a lot of them are like, oh, like this is good because he's a first off, the term that always gets thrown around, he's a fascist. I'm like, wow, killing someone for talking that's not fascism, that's anti-fascism, right? Um,
yeah, yeah.
but like the the entire take is like,
With
oh,
the
it's good because he believed this thing. I'm like, do you think that? I mean, it's just an elevation from the past where they were like, oh, we should ostracize and cancel people for their views. Do you think
Mhm,
that brings them to your side of the fence? Like, do you think that
yeah,
brings this entire side that believed in them over to you? Like, no, it all it does. The reason why we've seen so much um like polarization is purely because and like now they've taken it a level further, and
mhm,
now it's not just canceling someone. It's well, it is canceling someone basically for good. Like
forever, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's crazy, like, because there is, like, a Charlie quote that I knew about before he passed away, but, like, it became a lot more prevalent. Um, it's when conversation stops, violence begins, or something along those lines, and that's exactly what happened. Somebody, this guy Tony, I think is his name, or Tommy, um, whatever his name is, um, legit killed the only person that was willing to sit down with you and have a conversation. Like, name another political commentator that just goes around to talk to regular everyday people and debate and discuss ideas, and then do it in a respectful manner. There's
yeah,
not
I think
many, if any.
and that's the thing too is like not just because I think a lot of people that some people that may listen to this or some people who we may talk to about this, may have the
Mhm.
stance that like, oh, you guys are just saying this because you support him. Here's the thing, right? Like full transparency from my side.
Mhm.
I back in the day, like he was one of the people that I would watch the videos and stuff of, the videos of, and like content he put out. But like these days, some of my views, especially on like foreign policy and other governments, for example,
Mhm.
don't align with his views, his espoused views, and like any of the points he was putting out at all. Just, I mean, but even if every single one of my views was like that, like I just don't see any case where someone could, in good faith, accuse me of, oh, you're actually just supporting him because you support his views. Like, one, I don't. Two, no, like I don't. It, all the cases on the other side, of the issue are just in such bad faith,
Yeah.
and like it's just, yeah, I think that it is crazy because this is one of the few things you can say like is actually happening, right? There's the whole crowd or whatever that says like nothing ever happens or whatever, and with
Mhm.
the Epstein files or whatever, like, but this is like the first thing that's like actually happened in a while, and I do think that. Do you think this is gonna spiral, or do you think it's?
It all depends on how people decide to respond. It could go away into absolute nothingness, and um, it'll be like a what I like to call just like a little subsection of a history book, where it's like this happened, this caused issues. There was a little bit of like civil fighting between the United States, um, but and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it doesn't become anything, and I hope that there's lessons that we as people in the United States can take away from this. Is like no matter how bad it gets, the answer is not violence. The answer is not to kill your enemy. And not even your enemy, just somebody that you have disagreements with, and somebody that you probably have a that you agree with a lot more than what you think. Um, because it's like to say that you don't like somebody, those that's a very heavy sentence. Because how do you know you don't like them? Have you talked to them? Have you met with them? Have you hung out with them? Or do you just disagree politically? Because I've got many friends that I disagree with politically, and they disagree with me, and that's okay. But we're still friends, and I still like them. Um, and I think that's the lesson that needs to be taken away. Is like we just need to be able to move forward as a country and as a community, and kind of like stand as one. And I think the only way to do that is unity through unity with seeing that this is the wrong way to approach these situations.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that it doesn't turn into anything because
Yeah.
I'm.
If you were to go to Twitter right now, it's the complete opposite. They like the term I've heard, and I kind of like it's a smart term, but it's like a cold civil war. Um, so it's just like nothing's happened yet, but things are warming up.
Yeah, I think overall, um, I don't know. I think I used to be the kind to like speculate on, oh, I think this is going to turn into something. I mean, I'm sure there's episodes you could find, like every episode we make predictions on things, but like I
Mhm.
think for huge world events like this and like such like things with actual geopolitical like effect, I have no idea. I will be the first to say, like, I have no idea. It could go one way or the other. This could be Civil War II, or it could be, like you said, an appendix in a history book somewhere. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If it becomes anything more, this will be like it it it'll get more than just like a line. It'll be this is what this is what started it. Like I this like it feels different, and it felt different when it initially happened, and I've let it sit now for about a week, and it still feels different. It still doesn't like sit right in my stomach. Like something just feels off. And maybe that's just me, and maybe it's the media that I'm consuming, but yeah, it feels like just like something's off.
no, I'd agree. I think even like agnostic of the media you're consuming, right? Because like I think I've consumed I'd say as little as you can in today's day and age with like just seeing a few posts on Reddit and like that's pretty much it, and like having a few in-person conversations. Um, you and me, I was playing games with some of the guys, and I was like, I think it just hit me like it was like 2 days after it happened. I was like, it just hit me that like we actually had like a legitimate assassination in in the
Hmm.
U.S. Like it in a
Hmm.
way that was different from like I said, Mangione or the Blackstone, like those. It was like okay, yeah, it was a killing, and maybe it'll spark conversation or whatever. It'll spark like it's like for example, specifically with Mangione, I was like, okay, like maybe it'll spark some conversation about like classism, and maybe some people will wake up to like, hey, in the healthcare industry or things like that. But it never felt like, oh, this is
Hmm.
a revolution. This is the start to like something really bigger, like that. Which, like I said, this could be the spark, um, or something like that. But
Yeah, yeah. Only time will tell, and hopefully we take away the hopefully we just take away a lot of good from this terrible situation, and hopefully we just learn how to move on as a country. And I think um, everybody as a whole just needs to, I don't know, move. I don't know. We just need to move on and not cause any more chaos for a little bit. So I feel like if we feed the flames of this fire, it could go out of control.
yeah, I mean, the problem is though, like with how entrenched in social media everyone is, present company included.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I think that you've got I think a lot of I think me and you are still generally more on the outside of a lot of these things. I think you've been a little more involved, but generally me and
Hmm.
you are more like a little more detached from it. We're like, hey, like this is not an awful thing just to kill someone for their political beliefs and what they say. But like,
Hmm.
that's it. That's the end of it. It's a terrible thing. But I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of people who, left and right, and people who support it, people who are vehemently against it, that are gonna hear this news and they're gonna be in some chat rooms and DMs and threads with like just other people they agree with or disagree with. And I think that's what I'm a little worried about is that we have so much ability for people to put their opinions out there and argue with people who that disagree and get rage baited and trolls and all that, that like I think that social media could be like another catalyst for like it's just an amplifier for anything that happens, right? Like anything like this that happens years ago would have been a news cycle, and then that's it. Like now it's like it's gonna be the talk of the town for months, if if not longer. Um, I mean, think about how long January 6th was in the news cycle, right? Like that was in the news cycle for a year or two, as like the main thing. And something like this that's so much that's I'd argue is about as politically charged as that. Um, yeah, I don't see it going away in the news cycle, but I guess we can remain hopeful that
Yeah,
people kind of
and
move
I
move
think that's all we
defensively.
can do. Yeah, that's all we can do is remain hopeful and hope for the best. Um, but yeah, I feel like that was an important thing to talk about, or at least for me, just to like talk about it and like fully, or at least partially, vent out some of the conspiracies and some of the things that I've been reading online because can't really do that at work. And then
But you can put it out
um,
there for everyone to see on the internet.
yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
I mean, I think
It's not
also
workplace.
like
It's not workplace related. Why not? It just like it just feels different because there hasn't been like a high profile political like figure assassination in a while. Um or at least public because there was the lawmakers from Minnesota
you know,
and that was terribly tragic and that didn't get as much news coverage as it should have by any means.
that's kind of
I don't
crazy,
know.
and it
Maybe
didn't
I'm
get that
just
much coverage. Honestly, an event like that.
yeah. Yeah, I found out about it late and I was just like, "Oh, that's terrible." Whatever. And I didn't like I thought it was another terrible thing that happened because terrible things are going to happen no matter what. Um, but yeah, it wasn't publicized nearly to the same extent that this was, and I think a lot of it was just because it was in front of 1,000 or so people, and it was caught essentially right up front in 4K, and it was horrible, and it was terrifying, and it was yeah. Um,
I think another thing too for like, I think why it'd be, like you said, important for us to talk about, just because one, it's a big world event, but also two, like, not to toot our own horn like we were at the beginning of the podcast, but like, I mean,
mhm.
especially, would you even call us podcasters? Do you think that's a term we could use? Do you think we've
No,
earned
I
that
don't
right?
think so.
Okay.
No,
Uh,
I think you earn that title once we get some amount of income, and as far as I'm aware, we haven't made any income.
as far as you're
Or
aware,
maybe we have, or maybe we are, and Dave's just taking it
I'm
all 5 cents that we get from every video.
all 25 cents per short is I'm saving that up for a Taco Bell box at the end of the year.
There you go. There you go. Well, if we
Um,
just keep mass producing episodes, you might be able to get two, and then we could share.
yeah, you can have half my crunch wrap. Um, yeah, but
Woo!
I think even like for podcast hobbyists as us or just podcast enthusiasts, like
I think we're just two dudes with a camera. I think that's all
yeah, like
we classify as.
yeah, but I think even for us, like right, like one, we put our views out there. Two, like we don't say really inflammatory stuff or like super politically charged. I say generally, objectively, I don't think we do, but we are still very much branding ourselves in our own political views, in our own takes
Sure.
on the
Yeah.
world and worldviews. So
Yeah.
I think with our with our 16 subscribers, we really need to be a beacon for free speech, even if only
Yes.
16 people
Yes.
want to listen to us.
Keep it going. We're not stopping the podcast anytime soon. We're not scared.
I'm a little scared, and we have 16 subscribers, and that says a lot. We don't want,
You are the more paranoid between the both of us, though.
yeah, but you never know, dude. Illogically ignorant. That's not. That'd be a bad way to make the news cycle. But I guess publicity is publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, right?
Publicity's king, and there's no way they can take both of us, right?
That'd be really
We'll just
impressive.
carry on the legacy.
Honestly, I feel like at that rate, if you just kept me and Luke both like across coasts and like basically simultaneously for a 16-person podcast, I feel like you kind of earned it at that rate. Like we're fighting with powers we don't
Yeah.
understand at that point. So like, all right, go ahead. Like
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
that'll be the sacrifice we make.
Yeah.
Maybe we can warrant like
Oh,
a local news segment, like a 30-second segment.
we might we might get a street named after us.
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Maybe a cul-de-sac. Maybe a little plaque in a cul-de-sac where
A
it happened.
little plaque in a cul-de-sac. No, let's just the place where we lived in Bloomington. Let's change it. Luke and Dave. We're
Luke
ignorant.
and
We can
Dave, the
call it
Luke and
Ignorant
Dave
Street.
house,
No, no, no. It could be Ignorant Street.
Ignorant Street. I like that. That's good.
Uh, anyways, since we haven't said anything too divisive on this podcast yet, I think it's time to start.
You want to do our little game?
I think we should play our game.
All right, you've got the list pulled up, like the full
Yeah,
list. Okay,
yeah. I've got the list
so
that you have and the list that I have,
all right,
and they're mostly the same.
so I will do a little preface. Today we are. I think this is something that was popular years ago. Like I remember seeing a few of these come out years ago, and we talked about doing it
Yeah.
before, but I guess it just never manifested. Um, but we are doing a privilege podcast or a privilege tier list, and I think in
Woo.
part in response to the Dr. Mike and Dr. Mike episode on Dr. Mike, Pretty Dr. Mike's podcast, um, where they kind of
with
discussed. I think the vast
with
majority of
guest host
the less pretty Dr. Mike,
ugly Dr. Mike,
ugly Dr.
troll
Mike. All
looking
right,
Dr.
let's be honest. Um, but I think I want to say because I listened to the whole thing, but like I want to say the vast majority, like over 50%, was about like pretty privilege, or like about like
Mhm.
the treatment you get from other people afforded to you. So we wanted to review all the privileges we could think of, and really just rate what gives you the most power. And I'm sure this will go over well.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
Charlie Kirk and talking about people's privileges. That's That's a great way. Really hope this is not the first interaction my voice in this sentence, like a law school admission council. Really hope that's not it. If it is, welcome,
You
like and subscribe.
you might want to save this one until you might want to save this one until you get accepted somewhere. You might not want to post this one yet.
Yeah, but I know they can also roll back your admission if you do something egregious. But like it's 16 subscribers, so I feel like
Yeah,
the chances
what's the worst that
that
can
they look it
happen?
up afterwards is low.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
save this for after I get a single admission.
You
Um,
just have to get one.
all right, well, on that note, I've got the tier list maker pulled up. So actually I'll keep it on our faces until we put each of them into each tier. So what do we want to start off with?
Do you have the um tier sheet?
Yeah, so I've got
Is it
it
on the
pulled up.
computer?
So I'll keep it on our faces. I'm stealing Alex O'Connor's tier list format. We'll just keep it on our
Okay.
faces until
Until you
we
show it.
yeah until I like drag it in and then because I haven't made a like a little label for each one yet. So
Hmm.
we'll just make them as we go,
So
and
we'll
that way
make it
we
as
have
we
an
go.
end product for everyone to see.
And what are the tier rankings?
So
Is it
we've
like an
got
S tier, A tier, or what is it?
we've got S through D and then F
Okay.
because I don't believe in E tier. I think that's a I think
Yeah,
I
ET's
think
always been stupid.
I really like I think there's I know it's a meme, but I think there is an actual truth in the video where it's like tier list, where it's like S and F
Hmm.
tier are S tier, but E tier is F tier, right? Like I think that that's a fair ranking, right? Because
Yeah,
S and F
yeah,
tier, C tier, like they all serve purposes. E tier serves no purpose.
yeah. It's just there. That's like the meme spot where it's like it's good, but I don't want it, or something like that, or it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, so I decided to leave it off, but maybe we'll have
Okay.
something that deserves it.
Yeah.
So what are we starting off
Um.
with?
I mean, we can. Do you want to? Let's start off with like a nice, easy one. Let's talk about like financial privilege. So being rich,
Um,
coming from a rich family. That's the scenario. Coming from a rich family.
yeah, I'd say that I think there's levels to it, right? Like I mean, like with all levels of privilege, right? Like there's tiers to all of
Sure.
it. Um,
Yeah.
are we considering like we're not considering obscenely wealthy, or we're just saying like upper middle class or like the average
No,
person?
we're saying like your parents are millionaires. They're
Okay,
not billionaire level. They're drawing in $1 million or $2 million a year.
I'd say
You have the chance. Your college is paid for. You don't have to work unless you really want to. Um, you go to a private high school.
so. What are your initial thoughts? Because I have initial thoughts, but I'll let you talk before I give my because I think I have a
So
little
with the way
more.
that the way that I'm framing this, at least in my head, um, like I'm kind of comparing the other options that are also on the list, and so like and we can move this around a little bit, and I've got like a little personal sheet here where I'm like writing everything down, but that's an easy S tier.
So I,
Easiest tier.
so I'm going to disagree with you. I'm
Okay.
I'd argue S tier was my initial thought, right?
Yeah.
Like because it opens up all these doors for you. You don't have to work if you don't want to. But I'd
Mhm.
argue it's an A tier, right? Because there are legitimate like material downsides to it. I'd say that like
Like,
you'd get a lot of people with um that develop just basically no personalities or very flawed personalities. You get a lot of people who have no who don't because I mean there's a lot of I think with all privileges there's this caveat, right? Which is it fills in it fills in for something that you no longer have to work on, right? So
yeah,
like it fills it's a stopgap. And I think that financial privilege especially um you can buy your way into things, you can buy your way into
yeah,
but like I think that you lose a lot of um the discipline, the hard work, the like flexibility, like if things go poorly, right? Like let's say your family loses its wealth or something like that. Like you I'd argue that a lot of people who have that background are a lot less equipped to deal with contingencies than because like you just have you just have the ability to fall back on your family, right? Like, or on your wealth at any time. So I guess that's my stance. Is it opens up a lot of issues, right? Like a lot of people who, for example, um, yeah, I don't want to get too into the other privileges because a lot of my examples were the other privileges, but yeah, that's my stance.
Okay. So what's the point of working hard? To do what?
To succeed, I guess, right?
Okay. And how are a lot of measures of success defined by?
I I don't- I guess like my issue with that, right, is that let's say the human experience. I guess like let's say this person, this individual, right? You as a human, let's say you're the wealthy person, right? Like you have millionaire parents, you have a trust fund, but like you never have to, struggle or you never have to deal with a lot of these ups and downs in life.
Yeah.
I'd argue that you lose out on that part of human experience. But I'd argue that's a crucial part of the human experience is the struggle and to overcome. And I
Yeah.
think that that's kind of my thing. It's like not judging from
But
like outcomes,
but
right? Like,
but your struggles just shift. So you no longer have financial struggles, and that's fine. But now you have like whatever opportunity that you want to put yourself into, whether that be like physical struggles or mental struggles or academic struggles. You just have different struggles. And I'm saying like purely from like a finance point of view. And yeah, there's like yeah, suicides are high with people that have a high net worth. They're also high with poor people. We just don't hear about them because nobody cares. No one's recording those statistics.
yeah, I mean, I guess I can see your point, right? Like for example, the loss of meaning. I think, like for example, something that I was bringing up.
Hmm.
Um, I guess everyone kind of has a struggle with meaning. Um, you just have it at a higher level because you can the Maslow's hierarchy, everything you can struggle at higher levels.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'd say that's fair. I think I was arguing for A tier, but I'm okay with putting it S tier.
yeah.
'Cause I'm kind of doing the
I
same thing where I'm judging it against the other ones, but I think that
yeah,
if financial isn't up there, then like pretty much what else is. Um,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
There's a couple other ones that'll be up there. At the very least, it's S tier, and it's probably going to be a low S tier for me.
okay. I'm gonna
It'll
add
get shifted around.
financial privilege. All right, I'm gonna make it green for money.
Money,
Um,
money, money.
okay. What's next?
Let's jump into country of origin.
So
Meaning,
I'd say,
like, okay, if you are if you're born into a good country, as opposed to being born in like a developing country, a place with a lot less opportunities, um, I think that's probably going to be an A tier for me.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against that, right? Like, because anyone, the poorest person in the US or a lot of Western countries or Europe is
Hmm.
typically going to be better off than the average in like a South Asian or like a Middle Eastern country developing, right? Like, so
Hmm.
I think relative to those, yeah, and I'd say especially once you take into account like some social safety nets or um like the some social programs, things like that. I think once you take
Hmm.
those into account as well, the problem, yeah, because I guess you have to compare it to other countries. So that's the only way it works.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, if you're born in a good country, what privilege does that put you at? And good is relative on however you want to define it. But like we can have an honest conversation about how it's better to be born in like the United States or um the United States or like United Kingdom or France or Germany or any one of those like or like Russia as opposed to some like developing country like an Ecuador or like a Chile. And yeah, there's great spots in those places and I visited those places. They're awesome. I wouldn't want to make a life there. I think it would be very hard, and this is something that I've learned when talking about the people from Ecuador. You're born there. You live your life there and then you die there. You don't really leave. You don't have the opportunity to leave. You don't have the opportunity to do something greater than yourself there. Just because you don't, it's really hard to pursue whatever dream that you may want.
I think we could almost rate it. I think we could treat this tier list almost like a, let's say, like a D&D character creation, or like a video game like trait selector, right? Like, what are
Okay.
you most willing to put, if you could only invest in certain privileges, what would you be most willing to invest in? And I think that
Hmm.
like country of origin, if you were to take like a baby starting out, be like, hey, you have 10 character points to put into these things. What do you invest in? Like intelligence, like beauty, country of origin. I think country of origin is gonna be always up. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to say S tier now that I think about it, right? Because like if
I
you're,
am I am too, and I'm saying this because like I would rather be poor in America than rich in like Chad. Like I feel like that would be a better trade-off.
yeah, like if we're talking percentiles of the population, like I'd rather
Yeah,
be in the fifth percentile in the U.S. than in the 98th in any other in most other countries.
yeah. I
So
might go. Actually, yeah, you're right. I've changed it already. Oop. I think I'm gonna go um, location of country of origin higher than finance.
do we still want to keep finance in S, or I guess we can wait to move it when we
Well,
get
wait.
more
It's bottom S. If S feels like it's congested, that can drop down.
country of origin. Yeah, I think that might be, that's in contention for one of the best ones, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Ooh. IQ.
See, I think if you had asked me years ago, I would have put IQ at S tier. I think IQ is definitely an amplifier, right? Like it's something that you naturally just have to work. It's like wealth in that way.
Mhm,
You naturally have to work less hard than other people
mhm,
in most of your endeavors. But I'm somewhere between. I think I'd be somewhere in between A and B tier, right? Because you there IQ doesn't do everything for you, and in some cases, I know we argued this point for the finance one, like the pitfalls you can have with privilege, but I think the IQ ones are like prevalent, right? Like because, for example, like I'm not saying I'm like a genius by any means, but like I struggled way less with school until like late college, right? Like or
mhm.
mid college, when because I never had to study once in my life until I hit a college class, like a college business law class, and I was
Yeah.
so ill prepared for that. I was so um I'd never struggled with that. I'd never had issues getting there. It definitely still helps in pretty much every other way, right? Like
Mhm.
getting you through the early parts of life. But I think that the pitfalls, you can you can fall down that hole pretty rapidly. Like if you don't
Yeah.
get yourself out of um, that reliance on your pure IQ without relying on like diligence and hard work, I think it can wrap you up a lot faster than not being good with other skills with like finance, for example.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put it for me, it's gonna be like bottom of A because it does just give you more opportunities to do more things. And like the statistics generally show that like your people that have a higher IQ generally have a better life around them. And it's not even like super high IQ. We're just talking like above even if you're just above the average, you're gonna be doing better off than most people that are below you on average. Um, and I think that's a telltale sign that it's deserved of its A positioning. I don't think it's everything. You still have to work relatively hard, and it also depends on like what you want to work into. Because what if you're just like you have a really high IQ, but your interests don't always align for success making opportunities? What if you're really smart and you just use all of that smart to like really master like D&D or like you really master like the mechanics of a certain game and you kind of go full autistic mode and you're not like opening up your horizons but you're really good at the subsect of things that interest you.
Yeah,
Because
essentially just
there's pitfalls, but I think there's more positives than there are downfalls.
yeah, agreed. Okay. A tier for now. I think like mid to low A tier for now.
Yep.
All right, next.
Um. Ooh. Uh. Male privilege.
Are we so I don't think we hashed this out. Are we going into like with male privilege, are we doing female privilege? Is that
Yeah, we can do both. We
okay?
can do both.
I think male privilege I, I would put it no higher than D. Like I it
What's like the middle? Like, because how I'm kind of looking at the list is that like SAB is like good, and then like CDF is almost like negative. Like
so we're saying okay,
it's
so let's say
harder on your life.
D and F is almost detrimental.
Yeah,
I think this would be a C tier then, right? Like I think it's
yeah. I think male privilege is like a perfect neutral.
yeah, because you do have right like maybe this was in hot water, but like you do have just straight up the physical advantages. Like there are straight up
Hmm.
male biological physical advantages you gain. Um, but like outside of that pure biological side, outside of the pure
Hmm.
physical side, I don't think there's any. I know there's going to be disagreements with like employment or whatever, which are just fallacious. But I are just actually wrong. But yeah, I'd argue in today's day and age with how many um, measures there are in place. I mean, not just talking like
Yeah.
Title IX things like that, but also
Hmm.
just the leveling of the playing field. I think
Hmm.
me and you both like easy C tier, middle of the
Yeah.
road.
I think it's standard. I think it's kind of just like because we are guys, maybe it's hard to see from the outside perspective, but I think it's just the normal. I don't feel like I have an advantage in any aspect of like my working life or my social life or anything that I particularly notice day to day. Because I'm a dude as opposed to a girl. I guess I don't have to wear as much makeup, so it's probably a privilege. Um, don't have to
Would
doll
we want to
myself up in
just
the morning.
would we want to just throw female in the same tier?
Nope, I'm throwing female in D tier.
You think females actively detrimental?
I think actively detrimental. I think in
See,
every single possible way, being a female is harder than a male.
so I'd agree that there are a lot, many harder parts about being a female, but I'd
Yep.
argue that maybe this is biased in, for example, the fields that I mean, you've seen like when we were in business school, right? Like business
Hmm.
school, engineering. I think there are so many um, initiatives now
Hmm.
that like companies are seeking, for example, uh, females in tech, females in finance, females in law, like,
Hmm.
right? Like I think there are so many of those initiatives where like
Yeah.
being, I think that elevating your ability to find a career, find a lot of the success.
Yeah.
I think that those opportunities. See, I don't know if I can agree with purity. I was going to argue for
See.
B that like there are some
Yeah.
upsides, but I
Yeah.
feel like I couldn't go any higher than C on that, right? Because I
Oh.
just think that
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. I'll give you my stance for D. My stance for D is that like I understand that okay, semi known fact. Partially don't know if it's true. I heard two people say it a couple times, so I'm
that
just
sounds like
taking it as
good
truth.
source for us to state on the podcast.
But the source was that like DEI initiatives helped one group a lot more than others, and it was specifically like Caucasian females. Um, and so yeah, you're right. There are a lot of initiatives in place to even or potentially like even supersede the playing field of other individuals. But like the drawback for being a woman are purely like physical. It's purely the hormonal changes. It's purely having periods. It's having um, giving birth. It's um, like even though there are a lot of initiatives in place, society doesn't always put those initiatives into place, or they're not always practiced. And there's many examples of that in many different careers. And like, yeah, you see it in college where those initiatives are being like brought forth, but that's not always the trait. That's not always the case. I mean, we know people that were like strong, independent business or yeah, businesswomen that have talked about their difficulties being in the business world, surrounded by essentially a bunch of other dudes, and it's just not there yet. It does have the potential to be a C or a B in the future. I just don't think it's there yet, and I think that that's something that's just going to take time.
What's your stance on like the the dating realm though, for example, right? Because I think I don't think this is taboo to say. Um,
Yeah,
I think most people agree that like dating realm, it's the like women's choice right now, right? Like it's like the woman has full
yeah,
say in her partner, like you know
yeah.
things like that. So I do you think that sways you at all, or would you still be?
I think the dating world is very weird in general because I think guys tend to fall in love. I feel, or maybe this might be a Luke thing. This might not be true, but like guys tend to fall in love like much quicker, or they can fall in love with pretty much anybody given all of their flaws. And I don't know if that's always true for women. Maybe that is. Maybe it's not. I don't have that perspective. And yeah, they have more choices. And like there's a theory where it's like the same the if you have 10 women and you have 10 guys, the 10 women are all going for like the top two guys, top two or three guys. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But I don't know if that outweighs the day-to-day struggles that women have to go through.
Oh, I'll agree on B tier. I think some of the physicality. I think
Yeah, and then yeah, physicality aspect, the risk for danger, the risk to be uh stalked and have terrible things done to your body without your consent. Um, Yeah, I think women live in like how many times did we just like go out and go on a walk in the middle of the night or just like adventure out with no worry about safety or anything like that?
yeah, I agree. I think that, like you said, I think as society advances, as maybe like greater, you know, measures are put in place, I think that it could
Yeah,
move up just by the nature of dating and the career field. But yeah, I'd
yeah,
agree that the physical side, giving birth and
yeah,
also being stalked and yeah, but you're just being physically weaker than an assailant. Yeah, I'm I'm
yeah.
I'm with these here.
And you can put it as your personal C tier, but I think I don't think there I don't think there's an inherent privilege just by being a woman. And that brings us into our next talking point, pretty privilege.
I mean, easy S, right? Like
Yeah,
this is the crux of it. I think that I mean we can expound a little bit just so we don't just skip past it. But being
I
are we
disagree.
are we are we wrapping like being fit and like um able-bodied are those separate ones or are we
Those are separate. Those will be separate ones
okay?
because we're going purely just off of like physical attraction, not really like they're a sack of flesh that looks really good, but we don't know if they're functional at all.
Yeah, I mean easy yes, right? Like every person who interacts with you will treat you inherently better. Even if
I
there is a
I
what
I disagree.
you disagree
I
with
think it's
that.
an A tier. I think it's an A tier.
Are you
I
being
think
a
it could.
contrarian?
No. I'm being dead serious. So my stand because I initially thought it was going to be S, but then I had this thought pop into my mind. I'm just like, okay, yeah, you really win out on first impressions. People will look at you, people will think that you're pretty, um, but then and it gets your foot in the door, but that's where it kind of stops you for a lot of situations. I feel because like we've all or at least know the stereotype of like the pretty dumb guy or the pretty dumb girl, and that can carry you to like get the opportunity to like where like treat people will treat you better initially, but as soon as they find out that you're like a big dum dum or something, they're not going to want to associate with you.
I think we also have enough. Yeah, okay. I think we also have enough ratings right now to where like if we're comparing what you'd be willing to spend your character attribute points on, I
Yeah,
I would choose even like yeah, IQ even over just pure beauty. All things
yeah.
considered.
Because like yeah, it's nice. It's really nice to like look good, and it's nice to like have people treat you differently. And like I'm not the most attractive person in the world, but like I've I've experienced that to some degree. And it is a very nice feeling. But then they then they have to talk to me after that, and
Hmm.
that's where they tend to lose interest.
So are we
So
going?
from firsthand experience, it's great on getting the initial conversation, but then once you're having the conversation, it's that's where everything falls apart.
We'll go mid slash bottom of A for now.
Yeah, I think it's a sol I think it's the definition of A tier. Like it's got more advantages than disadvantages, and some of the disadvantages of being pretty is having if that is like your one personality trait, you have to keep that up all the time. You always have to be pretty. You have to be the best dressed. You have to have the best hair. You have to know the style. You have to put more effort into it. Because like a lot of beauty, while some of it is natural, there is a decent amount of work that like goes
Presentation.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because if you just wake up, roll out of bed, um, yeah, you're still like very attractive. But like if you don't put yourself together, you still look like you rolled out of bed in the morning.
I agree. That's a surprise. I went into this thinking we would go pretty privileged first and just go straight S tier. So actually
I
agree with
see.
that one.
I thought it would be I because it does offer so many advantages, but there's just like I'm thinking about the things above it. It's like I wouldn't want to be like if I was pretty in uh what's a country? If I was pretty in Venezuela, I don't think it would. I actually prettiness might get you a long way in Venezuela.
Yeah, but like if you're pretty in you know, South India and don't have financial or IQ, yeah,
Yeah, if you're pretty and poor and not in a great part of the world, it doesn't really matter because, like you were saying earlier, Maslow's hierarchy of need. You're j- if you're not eating because you're so broke and poor and you're not living in a great area or you're worried about dying all the times, but good news, you're still pretty. Doesn't really matter.
yeah, agreed. All right, what's next?
Alright, we're scrolling through these guys. Um, let's go into so we've done that one. Let's come into health, health privilege, being a healthy individual, eating healthy, working out, having a like a functionally I know you hate that term, but like functionally fit body.
So how much of this are we considering privilege though, right? Like are we saying because I think some of them, right, like access to healthy foods,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah.
or just being
Let's
physically because I think this could like being able-bodied and like not being born with, for example,
okay.
any deformities, for
Yeah,
example,
let's
like
switch it up. Let's switch it up. Um, yeah, able-bodied versus having some sort of physical disability. Physical disability, obvious F tier. Your
yeah,
life is infinitely harder. You have you have steeper steps to climb, and um, it's harder. And while that doesn't mean that there's like no hope or no chance, because there's many disabled individuals that do significantly more than I ever will in my entire lifetime. They've probably also had to work tens, if not hundreds of times harder than me for the
do we
same
want to do we want
opportunities.
to throw that on the tier list as F tier?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like
Physical
specifically like a
disability.
physical disability.
I mean, do we want to wrap it up into like this disability in general, like congenital disabilities? Because like we can say like having a mental or physical disability
Yeah,
or like
we can put
any kind of
both.
hindrance. Okay.
Yeah,
What do you say
let's just put both.
disability?
Because we kind of covered the other aspect of that with IQ,
Yeah.
and I know that's not 100% the same, but it gets the message across. Um, yeah, your life is just infinitely harder if you're born with a disability, and um, That's just the truth. There's no privilege about it. Um,
I
but and then go ahead.
think able-bodied for me, like
Yeah,
it's I think it's one of those sleeper ones where it's like it doesn't stand out as much as the four we have up there right now, but like
yeah,
it's a top of A or bottom of S, like for me, right? Like
yeah.
I think that to because I don't think I don't think we have to make the binary distinction of like either you're completely able-bodied or you're completely physically disabled. Um,
Yeah.
but like as your level of physical ability goes up, like
Hmm.
so many more opportunities are open to you. So I think I'd argue like top of A if we're not contrasting it with pure just being physically like incapacitated. I'd say
Yeah.
like what would you rather put points into IQ or physical ability? I guess that's the
Ooh,
question, right?
that's tough. We've had this debate, um, or we've had this talk. I I do value like as a physical therapist, I do value physical ability quite highly, but I think I value um mental ability and like intelligence a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, I think
So I think, oh gosh,
well, because would you sacrifice like let's say would you sacrifice IQ points for to keep yourself physically healthy like versus like a if there were like a disease that
oh
were going to cripple you or like not cripple you but like take away some level of like
yeah, ooh yeah,
the use of a leg, for
yeah,
example.
yeah, I would, I would drop down a couple IQ points to keep a leg.
Okay, so maybe we put it between IQ and pretty. Right? Like I think
Yeah, yeah, I
that's
think yeah, able-bodied. I agree. Um, okay, Dave, white privilege, go.
oh yeah, I'm the expert.
Yeah.
I
You're the
think
expert, you know. You have an outsider's perspective.
I mean yeah, okay, I think that's why I'm allowed to speak on this. Uh
Yeah,
I think it's just straight C, right? Like I think it's it's so middle of the road. Like there's no outright advantage or disadvantage, I think. Like because if we're not
yeah,
because if from my mind we're not contrasting white and black privilege, and we're saying among
mhm,
every race, among every ethnicity,
mhm.
among everything, like I might honestly I'd argue that like racial privileges in general would all be C tier. I'd argue that like I take, but I see no color. No, but like
Oh god,
I
oh no.
but
We're regressing, Dave.
but
Where's liberal Dave at?
I'd say I'd say that like racial privilege in general, and maybe this is a ill form to take, but I'd say they're
Yeah,
all around C tier because I think that like being I mean it's the maybe it's a played out scenario, but like being a poor white guy against a wealthy black guy, or being a poor Asian versus a wealthy like Latino or something like y-
yeah,
or just being I think all things equal, changing the race does not like inherently give you significant advantages or disadvantages.
yeah.
Or like
Um,
all things
yeah,
equal.
if all things were equal, uh, yeah, I could see that argument. Is there any, if you had to speculate, is there any race that does get a privilege over the others? Because I really do think that like the white privilege does exist to some extent.
I mean, I
Um,
think they all have some level of advantage and disadvantage, right? Like you can talk about
yeah,
like I mean, this is going to be taboo to say, like inherent physical and mental capabilities differences between
yeah,
ethnicities, right? Like inherent averages.
yeah,
You can talk about
yep,
that as like inherent plus for a lot of them. Um, but then you've got things like, you know, affirmative action, or you've got just
hmm,
any level of discrimination. Like I think that there's so many factors, positive and negative, that like I think that overall, like I wouldn't put any points if we were rating whether you're putting points in this. I wouldn't put any points into like my ethnicity, right? Like I would gamble everything on the top five right now. and not a
Yeah.
single one is not a single consider. I'm like, if I have the top five, I don't care what race I am, basically at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Fun question. It's because you're not giving me anything fun to work with. Nothing that's cancelable.
I would choose to be Asian
If,
if I could.
how'd you know?
That's I knew where you go.
How'd you know that's what
I
I was
would
gonna ask?
I would remain Asian. I think that
No, no. If you had to choose different than your current race right now, what would you choose?
hmm. So Asian in general is ruled out, right? I can't just choose a different Asian country.
No. Yeah.
I'd say all right. Let's say it's like ethnicities that are prevalent in the U.S. because that way I can't just say like Swedish or something. Um,
Oh no. 'Cause- okay, that's Caucasian. That would be white.
I all right. If it's a race outside of my own, I'd probably say like Hispanic.
Why?
I think that there's the most well, the boring answer would be there's the most overlap between the cultures. I think like the family side, all that. But like I think that like there is a lot of unity and cohesion, right? Because you don't really
Yeah.
get a lot of like, well, you'd be worried if like a bunch of white guys were like, hey, like let's celebrate that. Um,
Yeah.
like you might not want to hang around gang when it gets or that group when it gets dark. Um,
Hmm.
but like I think that something that I like about Asian being Asian is that there's a lot more like unity, is like just by merits of your race. You'd be like, oh, like we have some really shared experiences or shared, and I think Latinos have that same level. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's my take as a someone who has no experience with the Latino community.
I love that bit at the end.
What about you,
Um,
Luke? What race would you be if it wasn't white?
Samoan.
That's true. That is the biggest straight physical attribute buff you could get.
Samoan. I'm either The Rock or I'm 700 pounds, and I'm willing to roll those dice.
So so where would you put race? Like, would you separate them out? Like, do you really do you think that there are? Because I think the majority lay in C, right? Like, but if you have any that you think do fall
Yeah,
above or
I
below,
think I think that um there in American society there probably is a slight bit of white privilege, and I would put like white privilege up at B tier, and then um I think most other racial demographics are either up there in B or down in C, just depending on the situation, and I feel like it could flip flop. But I
well,
think
I think because C
overall,
is middle of the road. So right, so if you think that there's cases where they could be negative or
yeah,
creative
yeah.
detrimental, I think
I
we
don't,
should
I
go with
don't,
C
yeah, I don't think if the playing field was even, there's no detriment
to
to
being
any
white.
single race. Yeah, comparatively, I feel like across the board, white there is just like a privilege on nearly every single scenario. Um, and I think depending on the scenario, some racial groups may be up at that B and some may be down at C, and I think it just depends. Um,
Okay, I'm okay
but
with putting
it's close.
with separating white out B. Like, let's say like bottom of
Yeah,
B tier.
I think there is an inherent white privilege that other racial and ethnic groups don't have, even
Or at
though we
least
try to.
or
With like
or at least like less
initial like the
straight
I
disadvantages, I guess.
yeah like straight across the board advantages. Um, yeah, that might get me canceled. Oh well, whatever. I'm acknowledging my white privilege, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. You're playing it safer than I
Yeah,
am. So
yeah. Uh, anyways, next. Uh, ooh. Um, having two parents in the household growing up.
to me, this is somewhere between top of B, like very top of B, and bottom of A. I think like
Hmm.
the I had this debate one time with some I can't remember. I think it was in college or maybe high school, where some girl was arguing. Like I made the stance like, oh, like a two-parent household is important for development, and not having that has a lot of risk and there's a lot of downsides. And she like argued with me on that. She was like, no, there's no statistical difference. I'm like, okay, there are pure statistical differences in like depression rate, suicide outcome. Like there are a lot of pure demographics that show real statistical differences between not having them.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think actually now that I speak though, I think it'd probably be somewhere in B. Because I think that like while there are some statistical differences, I don't think that like having two parents inherently like makes the biggest difference, right? I don't think like that if you were controlling for everything and you ask someone, "Hey, did you have one or two parents growing up?" Like I don't think that that's at all a breaking point, or that's at all a tiebreaker on like outcomes.
No, I'm I would also put it in B. I think it's high B. I think everything that you said, like the statistical advantages, um, definitely are tend to be better than like single parent household or no parent households. But the drawback and what's preventing it from going any higher is that you can just have two shitty parents. They could be terrible. It could be a toxic living environment that you're working in, but you still have two parents. But I would say like on average, having two parents in the household is generally better for um, the development of yourself and your siblings.
We'll put it a little above white privilege, I think. Or what do you think? Privilege.
Yeah, I think it's above white privilege for sure. I'd rather have two parents than uh, be white for sure.
Oh, easy.
Okay, you had one on religious privilege. I want you to expand on that a little.
Yeah, so I guess part of it is let's say that you believe not just like you practice or like you go to, but like you are entwined and actually actively believe the religious sect or group of the area you're in, right? Like so like depending on geographical location, right? So like if you're deep south, right, you are, Christian or Baptist or like whatever like that
Mhm.
denomination, or if you're born in Utah, you're Mormon, right? So like I think that matching the religion around you, that how much does
Mhm.
that affect your life and your upbringing and creed?
I think in the United States, it's going to be high B to low A. If you are in many other countries around the world, it would be an S because it would be the difference potentially between life and death.
Yeah, I think also the problem is it depends on your location in the U.S., right? Because there are some places like
Mhm.
northern states that it matters way less whether you're Christian or atheist or whatever you practice.
Mhm.
Whereas
Mhm.
like I've heard stories like this is not something I have any personal experience with, but listen to like Alex O'Connor and speakers like that of people who grew up in very evangelical or just very very religious um,
Mhm.
areas in the South, for example, like actively being disowned or actively losing any kind of community ties because they don't have the religious beliefs. Um,
Yeah.
I'd say probably like if we're talking U.S. centric, I think that's probably a fair term reference. I think yeah, probably
Yeah.
somewhere around B. Would you put it like
Yeah.
high B,
And,
like low B?
oh, I would put it high B, low A. And that's another thing too, where there's Outliers, the book by Malcolm Gladwell. They talk about blue zones, and blue zones are the places. And I think I've definitely talked about this before, where it's they're locations where people are the happiest, they live the longest, and have the best health. And one of the key factors in the blue zones is having some sort of faith or religion or spirituality. Um, it tends just to make people happier and live longer. It gives them a place to vent. It allows people to be like, okay, um, I there's something greater than me out there, and there's you can find solace in that, knowing that it's not the world doesn't revolve around you, and you don't have to fix the world's problems. That's not up to you. Gives a lot
Yeah.
of anxiety freeing thoughts. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm good.
I
I'm good
I
with that.
personally think it's low A.
Low A,
No. Yeah.
because I
No,
don't know if
high
I'd.
B. High B.
Yeah,
High B.
I
High
think
B.
I'm good with high B on this one
Yeah,
because I
because
do agree.
there's plenty of agnostics and atheists in the country today that are doing just fine by all means of standard living.
Agree.
Um. Okay. Connections. That's another one that you wrote down.
Yeah, I think connections play pretty heavily into. There's a lot of tie-in and overlap with financial privilege. I think connections, but I think originally when I wrote that down, I was expecting it to be a lot higher. But looking at what we have now, I think that I want to say like a low A, right? Because
Hmm.
connections can get you very far, right? Like, but it's almost like this. I'd say it's even less than pretty privilege on like getting your foot in the door because
Hmm.
yeah, you can have someone vouch for you or something, but like I think the IQ, able-bodied, like pretty, like any of those in combination outweigh like having a single letter of rec or something, right? I think that I
Yeah.
also maybe this is like differential from how a lot of people think, but I don't really place a ton of like I wouldn't personally place a ton of emphasis on someone's recommendation to me, right? Like on someone else, on behalf of someone else.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I definitely do think it's above the B tier. Like if you are disconnected, like you can naturally can find these opportunities that straight up aren't listed and available to other people, career
Yeah.
or
I
otherwise.
mean, there's many stories of like frat students that had a 2.0 GPA, but they're that relatively not doing well academically or in life, but has the connection with somebody in the fraternity that works at a Fortune 500 company, has a good job, and then hires his friend on from the frat to go work at the Fortune 500 company, even though they don't have all of the uh, I don't know, the general requirements to having the job. That's been done before. That's happened a lot. I know a couple people um, that are a couple years older than me that have had that privilege extended to them, and it is what it is, unfortunately.
I think I would. I'm. I'd pretty staunchly put it below pretty privileged though. Like
I
if
do
we were
too.
talking, yeah, okay,
I do too.
can agree on
I
that
put
one.
it I put it below pretty. Um, because like with pretty, not only do you get the foot in the doorway, but people generally treat you nicer. Where if you have your connections, your foot's in the door, and people may not treat you so nicely once you're inside that door.
You're
Because
ugly.
they're just like, if you're ugly, boo. Are there is there any privilege to being ugly, Dave?
I think that's the interesting kind of. I think like the nice thing about this tier list is that even like we listed it with, for example, disability, but I think even if we're talking about the inverse, like the inverse lands exactly where the positive would be on the tier list. I think like actually I don't know though because I think ugly lands in. Would you say like ugly is like D or F tier? Like which one would
I
you?
think it's D tier. I think it's D tier. I say it's D tier because, and it's not F tier because like there are some benefits of being ugly. People just generally leave you alone. So like if you're someone that's more introverted, and this is maybe a very specific case, but if you're relatively introverted, you can remain introverted. Or if you're ugly, you just have to work harder at forming either like social or romantic relationships um, by just being funny and being quick-witted and being kind of smart. So I think it's like an active detriment to be ugly, but there are some positives that don't make it quite an F tier.
Yeah, I
Like
think there's balancing acts
you
in
can
there.
work your way out of ugliness. Like
And I'd
being
agree.
ugly is just like
I couldn't put it on the same tier as like being actually physically or mentally like having a real disability like that.
yeah,
It doesn't even put it the
yeah.
same.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that you can do to your body, whether it be like working out, eating better, getting surgery to improve some level of your ugliness.
Mike Israel, Dr. Mike
Yeah, he's a multimillionaire supposedly, and
Lambos,
only
and
drives
he's
Lambos.
ugly.
Right? Did you have any others?
Um,
Popped into mind.
no, I think that's about it. We've got. Wait, let's.
Oh, I've got one. I've got one.
Oh,
I've got a new one. I
yeah.
just thought about this because I am actively balding and my hairline is receding. Um, full, full hairline privilege.
Uh, I think it's like somewhere in B. I think there
Okay.
definitely is. I think there definitely is an advantage, but I think like I honestly I think it's like the lowest of B. Like it's below white privilege almost because
You think it's below white privilege?
I think there's guys that like you can get away with like I know so many guys are like balding, they just shave their heads, right? Don't get me wrong, it doesn't work for everyone. For example, when I had
Yeah.
my head shaved in OCS, I realized my head does not have the right shape to be shaved. Um,
Yeah.
so I could not work it if I started balding. But
Hmm.
I think I don't know. I think B tier's fair, but I'll listen to where do you think it lies?
Oh, I'll put full B, or low B. I think as much as I want it, I want a full, thick, luscious head of hair. I don't think it beats out. It definitely doesn't beat out two parents, and it definitely. I don't know if it beats out white privilege. I don't know if my hairline would be the reason why I got the job or not.
I think also I have more experience with like bald people just than in the military, so like I probably don't put as high an emphasis on it. I think that also being a male, I might not care as much.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'd argue that just to extrapolate, I'd argue that maybe a lot of females would argue that it's higher on the list.
But yeah, that might be like A tier, or yeah, A tier for sure.
Full head of hair.
Would go full head of hair.
All right. I'm streaming right now, so I don't know if you pulled it up, but this is our completed tier list. Uh, we've got. I think I'm pretty happy with the lineup. I think country of origin I would put as the top of the top, right? Like I think that's S plus tier, right? Like that is all things fixed. I would because I mean I don't know if you saw that meme where it was listing the like the areas like if you were to gamble on where you'd want to be born, and I think that like all things fixed, if I could only choose one of these things, I would choose to be born in the U.S. Right? Like
Yeah.
I think that that's without a doubt. And I think
Yeah.
that in prevalence and this is like in order of precedence, like this is probably how I would prioritize my character attribute points.
Yeah. If you were building a D&D character,
Yeah,
you definitely wouldn't want them to die right away by their country of origin.
yeah, because
Yeah,
that that plays into so
you'd
much
want
like
them to be
safety.
rich. Yeah, you'd want them to be rich in a safe area.
Yeah, in the country of origin, you could just land in PvP immediately.
Yeah.
Just child
Just get
soldier in the ring.
shanked in you get shanked in the womb.
Well, you did put UK and countries you want to be born in, so maybe we should move the UK
That's
down a little
true.
bit.
That's true. That's true. Maybe UK would be bad. Oh, that's yeah. Maybe we just bring back the tier list videos altogether. We revive that content, and then we just
Yeah,
milk it. That's like an easy 100 videos right there.
yeah. And that's like a million shorts right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we should
We
do
could
that
do
next
that.
with tiers of like which country you'd want to be born in, because I think that that'd be the easiest out of these. That'd be like, yeah, maybe we'll have a full tier list episode. Or selling out.
Or maybe this is just our new thing. Maybe we dedicate the last 30 minutes of every podcast to tier lists,
I'm down with that.
and then
We'll
we
just
can
choose,
and at the final conclusion, once we run out of all of our ideas, we can rank all of our tier list videos.
and then we'll move on to brackets. and then
Yeah.
every time we run out of ideas, we're just gonna move on to a new ranking system and do the same thing over and over again.
That's been my I will be honest, that has been like my TikTok feed recently where it's been like random brackets of like weird anime characters that would beat another in a fight.
I don't know if you've seen, and I can send this to you later. It was do you know the etymology Instagram guy?
No.
Etymology nerd. You could probably look him up, but oh wait, is it this guy? Yeah, etymology nerd. He does like
Okay.
how he how I discovered him was he customized and built an entire bird language. But he's done like he seems very much on the spectrum. Uh, he did a bracket. He did a bracket ranking all the ranking systems. So he ranked the iceberg tier list bracket and the political compass, and then he did a
Hmm.
tier list of all of them, and then he did a iceberg compass of all of them, and then he did a political compass meme of all of them. So like I think that we should just become so meta. All we talk about is uh meta podcasting and tier lists.
Okay. I'm here for it. Let's oh gosh. Brackets won out? What the hell? How did that happen? How did brackets win out?
Well,
Oh
what's
no, I was
interesting is
making
the
iceberg. Oh gosh.
the political compass meme. How he has icebergs in lib left, brackets in auth right,
Oh, this is awesome.
and he gives real justification. It's real interesting stuff.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, let's just do this forever. Let's just do tier lists forever. We can do countries, we can do movies, we can do anime, we can do fictitious characters, we can do powers, we can do places you would want to live, careers.
I'm
The opportunities are
I know
endless,
we're saying
Dave.
this as a joke, but like I feel like that would actually be a nice little fun filler. Like at the end of a podcast, we talk about world events, talk about a topic,
Yeah,
and then we do anime tier list this season.
yeah.
Be good.
It's Dave. I think we have a bright future ahead of us, where we only do tier lists.
Yeah, real bright future.
I think it's we're conforming to the slop, Dave.
Well, now that I've deleted Instagram, I need another route for my slop. So we'll do
Your
Demon
slop. It's
Slayer in
just
this podcast.
hell yeah. Oh no. Please don't please don't listen to our podcast if it's your only source of entertainment. You will learn nothing. You will get bad explanations on everything.
Do you think it's worse for someone to only engage with the illogically ignorant podcast in shorts, or only, and I'm saying they use their phone solely for for Twitter? Which do you think is worse for for you as a person?
Worse for you as a person. Uh, uh, Tough. It depends on the algorithm that you're in for Twitter.
Oh, do you want to do a brain rot tier list next week?
Moving into a brain rot tier
We can do
list.
like different sources. It won't be like different brain rot memes or whatever, but it can be like different sources of brain rot and like what's
It'll
worse for
yeah.
you.
It's just all it's going to be is the difference between like YouTube Shorts and TikToks and um the Facebook and then Instagram Reels, and it's just going to be like which has the best form of slop and brain rot.
Oh, we're saying best. We're not saying what's worse for you. We're ranking what you should be prioritizing. S tier. Only consume TikToks and reels and shorts as your
Yeah, yeah.
Subway Surfers is the only content you should be consuming.
I will say like my algorithms for each of my social media platforms are very different. Like my TikTok is all just like it's all music related. It's all artists that are like up and coming, and it's like country music and people like playing guitar or piano. That's or like relationship stuff. That's like, but music is like 90% of it, and then like Instagram is just a complete conspiracy theory hellhole, and then Twitter is just I don't even know what Twitter is. Twitter's chaos. Twitter's the worst one by far, and then YouTube Shorts are just reruns of old TikToks
And
that
see,
are like 3 months late.
mine are the reels. Instagram Reels is all yeah, like going down the rabbit hole. It's all very deep state, like conspiracy theory, political stuff.
Yeah,
Very much
yeah.
stuff that I can't talk about openly. Um, whereas like my YouTube shorts are just like Dexter clips. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
And
I've been
recently
getting a
Hollow Knight.
on. Hell yeah. On my YouTube shorts have been a lot of like House clips.
Mhm.
Never seen a full episode of House in my life, but that just seems to be the thing that I've been wanting to watch recently.
Well, the worst thing is I
Damn, I
have
could.
seen all of Dexter and all of Suits, and I still watch the shorts
Yeah,
for some reason. Like they still draw me in.
you know what they're gonna say, and you're still interested. But sometimes they put like music in the background, so it feels different, even though it's the same thing.
If you want real brain rot, you should open up like the comment section on any clip of a report, and it'll always be Dexter related. Whether it's House, Suits,
Okay.
whatever, it'll always be like, oh, actually, Mike Ross was the Bay Harbor Butcher. It'll be something like that. It's just really stupid.
Yeah, the memes are nonstop.
Oh. All
But
right. Well, we discovered
anyways,
our format. I think we're good to go for the next
we've done it.
few years.
Yeah, we've got content coming for the next year or two, and then honestly, like you were kind of alluding to earlier, once we run out of things to do on the tier list, we can just move to brackets, and then from brackets we can go to icebergs, and then hopefully after year three of doing that style of content, there'll be like another like tier ranking system that we can steal.
We have a real bright future ahead of us. Regardless of what happens with the
Dude,
cold civil war, illogically ignorant is standing tall.
we'll be here. We will be proud.
We'll be the last thing the aliens find when they come to discover our corpses.
Our videos are us.
Both. It's they're gonna come
It's just
to
gonna be us potting.
it's gonna be a barren wasteland, and they're gonna come in, and we're just still making we're making a tier list of like the worst apocalypses that have happened in the past week.
The worst tragedies of the week ranked.
All right. You got anything else for today's episode?
No, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, hopefully we didn't scare you guys away. Continue watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later.